Minneapolis screams in silence. It is January 28, 2026, and the air outside the North Minneapolis Community Center is 20 degrees below zero, a temperature that hurts to breathe. Inside, the air is hot, recycled, and thick with a different kind of danger. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar stands at the podium. She looks exhausted. The city is a powder keg. 3 days ago, a nurse named Alex Preddy was shot dead by federal agents during a raid, and the streets have been burning ever since. Omar isn't here to talk about budget committees. She is here to talk about the blood on the pavement. We cannot live like this, she says, her voice cutting through the hum of the crowd. In the third row, Anthony Kazmierczak stops listening. He is 55, wearing a heavy Carhartt jacket that is too warm for the room. He has been sitting with his hands in his pockets for 20 minutes, sweating, waiting for the security guards to look the other way. He isn't here to debate. Kazmierczak stands up. It happens so fast that for a split second, nobody moves. He doesn't pull a gun. He doesn't unfurl a banner. He pulls his right hand out of his jacket pocket. His fist is clenched tight around a plastic cylinder. A syringe. The needle glints under the harsh gymnasium lights. He lunges. He moves with the desperate speed of a man who has played this moment over in his head 1,000 times. He rushes the aisle, knocking over a folding chair. The sound is like a gunshot, cracking the tension in the room wide open. Omar looks up. She sees him coming. The liquid arcs through the air before anyone can scream. It is amber-colored, thick, and ugly. Kazmierczak depresses the plunger in a violent spasm just as he reaches the edge of the stage. The stream of fluid flies past the microphone and spatters across the podium and the congresswoman's sleeve. Time warps. In the chaos of an assassination attempt, the brain scrambles to identify the threat. Is it a bomb? Is it a bullet? But the first thing that hits the front row isn't shrapnel. It is the smell. It hits them like a physical blow, pungent, sharp, and overwhelming. The stench of industrial vinegar and acid. It smells like a chemical burn. Panic ripples backward. People scramble over chairs, terrified that it is a biological agent, a nerve gas, something that will stop their hearts. Get down, a security officer roars. 2 guards hit Kazmierczak at full speed, driving him into the hardwood floor with a bone-jarring thud. The syringe skitters across the lane, dripping the amber fluid onto the varnish. But Ilhan Omar does not get down. Her aides are grabbing at her arm, trying to pull her toward the emergency exit, shouting about decontamination. She shakes them off. She looks at the wet stain on her sleeve, then at the man groaning under the weight of the officers. The room is frozen in terror, waiting for her to collapse, waiting for the poison to work. Instead, she leans back into the microphone. Her voice is steady, hardened by a childhood spent running from things much worse than an angry man in a gym. I survived warlords, she says, the words echoing off the walls. I will survive this. The attacker is dragged out, his boots squeaking against the floor, leaving the smell of acid hanging heavy in the air. The war has come home. The smell in Minneapolis was vinegar and fear. But Mogadishu in 1991 smells of sulfur, unwashed bodies, and burning rubber. Ilhan is 8 years old. She doesn't know what civil war means yet. She only knows that the rhythm of the city has changed. The music from the tea shops is gone, replaced by the mechanical pop-pop-pop of AK-47 fire. It isn't the deep, cinematic boom of the movies. It is a dry, cracking sound, like dry wood snapping, and it never stops. The militia men aren't hiding in the shadows like the man in the Minneapolis gym. They own the streets. They are young, some barely older than her, with wild eyes and guns that look too big for their thin frames. They drive technicals, pickup trucks with heavy machine guns welded to the beds, screaming down the dusty avenues. One afternoon, the war comes to the front door. It isn't a syringe. It is a sweep. Ilhan peeks through the shuttered window. Outside, the sun is blindingly bright. In the street, neighbors are being dragged out. There are no Miranda rights here. No security guards to tackle the aggressors. A man is forced to his knees in the dirt. A shout, a flash, and he crumples. The violence is casual. It is terrifyingly random. The safe world of school and family dinners has evaporated overnight, replaced by a single, biological imperative: stay hidden, or die. The Minneapolis attacker wanted to send a message. These men just want to erase you. Leaving is not a decision, it is a reflex. You do not pack bags. You do not say goodbye to friends. You just go. The family flees under the cover of chaos. They leave the house that held their entire lives, the books, the clothes, the photographs, knowing they will likely never see the inside of it again. They become ghosts in their own country, moving toward the border, away from the gunfire that has swallowed the capital. The road out of Mogadishu is a graveyard. They travel in a silence so heavy it hurts. Ilhan stares out at the passing landscape. It should be beautiful, the Somali landscape is vast and ancient, but the ground is wrong. She sees mounds of dirt along the roadside. Uneven, hasty piles. Some are covered in brush, some are just raw earth. It takes her a moment to realize what they are. They are bodies. People who didn't make it. People who were stopped at a checkpoint and didn't have the right name, or the right clan, or the right money. The smell here is sweet and sickly, the scent of decay baking in the equatorial heat. Every time a truck approaches, the fear spikes. Is this the militia? Is this the end? They hide in the bush, hearts hammering against their ribs, waiting for the dust cloud to pass. Ilhan learns the most important lesson of her life on this road, a lesson that will carry her to the floor of the U.S. Congress 30 years later: safety is an illusion. You are only safe as long as you keep moving. They cross the border into Kenya, but there is no welcome mat. There is only the camp. From a distance, it looks like a shimmering mirage in the heat waves, a sprawling, endless grid of white and blue plastic sheeting stretching to the horizon. This is Dadaab. It isn't a shelter, it is a city built of desperation. The moment they step off the transport, the heat swallows them. It is different from the heat in Mogadishu. There is no ocean breeze here to cut the humidity. This heat is dry, red, and abrasive. It gets into your eyes, your throat, your pores. Ilhan stands in the processing line, small and battered. She looks around. There are thousands of people. Tens of thousands. A sea of faces that look just like hers, exhausted, traumatized, clutching the few possessions they manage to carry. The noise is a constant, low-level roar, babies crying, people arguing over space, the coughing of the sick. They are assigned a patch of dirt and a tent. The ground is hard as iron. This is their new home. No walls, no doors, no privacy. Just a thin sheet of plastic separating them from the scorching sun and the hyenas that prowl the perimeter at night. The relief of escaping the bullets in Somalia fades quickly, replaced by a new, sinking realization: they haven't found freedom. They have found purgatory. Time stops in the camp. Days bleed into weeks, weeks into years. For a child, the camp is a paradox. It is boring, yet dangerous. There is no school. There are no toys. There is only the waiting. Hunger becomes a constant companion. It isn't the polite hunger of skipping lunch, it is a physical pain, a cramping knot in the stomach that makes it hard to stand up. Food is a commodity, distributed in chaotic lines under the baking sun. You wait for hours for a scoop of grain, a tin of oil. If you are too weak to stand in line, you don't eat. Then comes the sickness. The mosquitoes here are relentless, clouds of them rising at dusk like smoke. Malaria tears through the tents. Ilhan burns with fever. Her body shakes so violently her teeth rattle. The world narrows down to the sweat-soaked mat she lies on. She hears the sounds of the camp outside, the wind whipping the plastic, the murmurs of her family, but they feel miles away. People die here from a mosquito bite just as easily as they died from bullets back home. For years. She spends 4 years in this dust. She watches people lose hope. She watches men who were doctors and engineers in Somalia wither away, their skills useless in a place where the only job is survival. But Ilhan watches. She learns how to navigate the chaos, how to be tough, how to make herself visible when it matters and invisible when it doesn't. The camp tries to erase them, to turn them into statistics. She refuses to fade. Getting out of Dadaab isn't about merit. It isn't about who suffered the most. It is a lottery, a bureaucratic game of chance played with human lives. Rumors fly through the camp like wildfire. America is taking families. Canada is closing its doors. Australia wants engineers. Every rumor sparks a stampede of hope, followed by the crushing weight of silence. Then, the call comes. But it isn't a ticket, it's an interrogation. The family is summoned to a corrugated metal building on the edge of the camp. Inside, it is sweltering, the air thick with the smell of stale sweat and nervous breath. Men in ties sit behind folding tables. They hold clipboards that contain the power of gods. The questions are endless. Repetitive. Invasive. Who are you? Where are you from? Did you carry a gun? Did you help the militia? Ilhan is 12 years old. She sits on a plastic chair, her feet barely touching the floor, answering questions about war crimes and terrorism. The translators drone on, their voices flat. The officials look tired. They are looking for a lie, a slip-up, a reason to stamp, denied, on the file and send them back to the plastic tents forever. They check eyes, fingerprints, medical histories. They are poked and prodded like livestock. It is humiliating, but you swallow the humiliation because the prize is survival. Finally, the verdict. Approved. Destination, the United States of America. Leaving is sudden. One day you are rotting in the dust, the next you are standing on a tarmac. They have no luggage. You do not bring souvenirs from hell. Ilhan wears her best clothes, which are worn and dusty, but she holds her head high. The airplane is a beast. To a girl who has spent 4 years in a refugee camp, the commercial airliner looks like a spaceship. It is massive, gleaming, and terrifying. The engines whine with a power that shakes the ground. Stepping inside is a physical shock. The air conditioning hits her instantly, unnatural, frigid air. It smells of coffee and sanitized upholstery. It is the smell of the West. She buckles the seatbelt. It feels restrictive. When the plane accelerates, the force pushes her back against the seat. The ground falls away. The sprawling grid of the camp, the only world she has known for 4 years, shrinks until it is just a stamp on the vast, red landscape of Africa. She looks out the porthole window. They are flying over oceans, over time zones. They are traveling from the 19th century into the 21st. She doesn't know about snow yet. She doesn't know about English as a second language classes or the confusing, loud culture of America. She only knows that the dust is gone. For the first time in her life, she is not running from something. She is flying toward something. They land in New York first, then Virginia. Arlington is not the America of the movies. It isn't just skyscrapers and cowboys. It is a maze of concrete, steel, and blinding artificial light. Stepping out of the airport, the noise is the first thing that hits. It isn't the organic noise of the camp, human voices, animals, wind. This is mechanical. The roar of engines on the highway is a constant, low-frequency hum that vibrates in the chest. Everything is fast. The cars move at speeds that seem impossible. The people walk with purpose, eyes fixed on watches, on the ground, on the horizon. Nobody looks at each other. In Dadaab, survival meant community, you watched your neighbor. Here, survival seems to mean isolation. They move into a small apartment. It has walls. It has a door that locks. To a girl who has slept under plastic sheets for 4 years, the concept of a room is overwhelming. She touches the walls. Solid. But the safety feels sterile. The streets are paved and clean, but they are empty of life in the way she understands it. There is no communal cooking fire. No children playing in the dirt until sunset. There is just the hum of the refrigerator and the glow of the streetlights outside the window. She goes to school. The language is a wall. English sounds like a garbled stream of hard consonants. She sits at a desk, another hard, plastic object, and watches the other children. They are loud. They are confident. They have no idea what it sounds like when a bullet hits a wall. She feels like an alien species observing a new planet, trying to decipher the code before they realize. Then, the world changes color. It happens when they move to Minnesota. The temperature drops. The sky turns a flat, bruised gray. And then, the white stuff begins to fall. Ilhan stands at the window, staring. She has never seen snow. In the camp, the only thing that fell from the sky was rain or ash. This is silent. It covers the streets, the cars, the trees. It looks soft. It looks like sugar. She steps outside. The cold is a physical assault. It isn't just chilly. It is a violence against the skin. It bites through her thin jacket, freezing the moisture in her nose instantly. The wind in Mogadishu was hot and carried the scent of the sea, the wind in Minneapolis is a knife. She touches the snow. It burns. It is wet and numbing. This is the new enemy. The heat of Kenya tried to dry them out, the cold of Minnesota tries to freeze them solid. She looks at her father. He is shivering, wrapping his coat tighter. They have traded one extreme for another. They have traded the warlords for the winter. But as she walks to school, crunching through the ice, she realizes something. The cold kills the mosquitoes. There is no malaria here. There are no technicals with machine guns patrolling the snowbanks. The snow is cold, yes. But it is clean. It covers the dirt. It covers the past. She pulls her scarf up over her face, eyes narrowing against the wind. She walks forward. The snow eventually melts, revealing a different landscape, the marble halls of Washington, D.C. Ilhan walks into the house chamber. It is cavernous, smelling of furniture polish and old paper. The air here is thin, recycled, and deeply serious. She is the first. The hijab she wears is a splash of color against a sea of gray suits and navy blazers. It was supposed to be the American dream. The refugee becomes the representative. But the dream has a shadow. The shadow arrives not with a handshake, but with a chant. North Carolina, 2019. A rally. The crowd is a single, heaving organism. The chant starts low, then swells until it shakes the cameras. Send her back. Send her back. She watches it on a screen. The sound is familiar. It is the same frequency as the mob in Mogadishu, the same raw, tribal anger. The location has changed, the language has changed, but the energy is identical. Then come the letters. Every week, a stack of mail lands on her desk. Some are policy briefs. Others are death warrants. Detailed, graphic descriptions of how they want to kill her. Drawings of nooses. Photos of her children with targets drawn on their faces. She walks with security now. She checks the exits in every room she enters. The trauma of the Civil War hasn't left, it has just been digitized and uploaded to Twitter. She realizes that power doesn't make you safe. Power makes you a target. Fast forward to January 25, 2026. Minneapolis. The city is gray and brittle with cold. But under the ice, it is burning. It starts with a traffic stop that turns into a raid. Alex Preddy, a 28-year-old nurse, is walking home from a shift at the VA hospital. He is wearing scrubs. He is tired. ICE agents swarm a corner store. Mistaken identity. Confusion. A shout of "gun" where there is no gun. 3 shots ring out. Alex Preddy falls into a snowbank, his blue scrubs turning black with blood. He bleeds out before the ambulance arrives. The video hits the internet in 20 minutes. It is grainy, shaky, and undeniable. The city snaps. For 3 days, Minneapolis does not sleep. The sky is lit up not by the northern lights, but by the orange glow of burning trash cans and police flares. Sirens wail non-stop, a dissonant chorus that echoes off the frozen buildings. Tear gas drifts through the streets like a toxic fog, stinging the eyes of anyone who steps outside. Ilhan drives through her district. She sees the boarded-up windows. She sees the lines of riot police, their breath puffing in the freezing air like dragons. She feels the vibration of the helicopters overhead. She knows this feeling. It is the feeling of a society unraveling. She knows she has to speak. She knows she has to go to the town hall. She knows it is dangerous. But she puts on her. The adrenaline crashes as soon as the doors of the armored SUV slam shut. The world outside is muffled, reduced to the thick, bulletproof glass and the blur of Minneapolis streetlights streaking by like comets in the dark. Ilhan sits in the back seat. Her sleeve is wet. The smell of vinegar and chemicals still clings to the fabric, a sharp reminder of how close the edge really is. Her hands are shaking, not from fear, but from the physiological aftershock of survival. It is the body remembering. She closes her eyes and for a second, the years collapse. The snow outside becomes the dust of the refugee camp. The siren of the police escort becomes the wail of the air raid. The man with the syringe is just another face in the long line of men who have tried to silence her. He is the militia boy with the AK-47. He is the border guard with the stamp. He is the politician leading the chant. They are all the same ghost, wearing different masks. They think fear will stop her. They think that if they scream loud enough, if they threaten hard enough, she will shrink back into the shadows. But they don't understand the forge she was made in. You cannot scare a woman who walked through a graveyard to find freedom. You cannot intimidate someone who starved in the desert and still found the strength to stand up. She looks at her reflection in the dark window. She doesn't see a victim. She sees the girl who survived the collapse of a nation. She sees the mother who raised children in the face of death threats. She sees the congresswoman who refuses to sit down. The attack today wasn't an ending. It was a clarification. The war isn't over. The fight for the soul of this city, of this country, is just beginning. And as the car turns onto the highway, accelerating into the frozen night, Ilhan Omar straightens her jacket. She wipes the chemical stain. She takes a deep breath. She is still here. And she is not going anywhere. This has been a breaking news edition of the Crimson Files. The story of survival is never written in ink, it is written in scars. If you want to go deeper into the stories that the headlines miss, if you want the grit, the tension, and the truth behind the power, you need to be here. Don't just listen. Witness. Hit that subscribe button on your podcast app right now. Leave us a review. Join the investigation. This is the Crimson Files. We'll see you in the shadows.